The world lost a true icon when she slipped away quietly, leaving behind a legacy of laughter, love, and unbreakable spirit. But in her final weeks, she made a choice that stunned everyone who knew her story. She let go of the home that had been her haven for over a decade, a place woven into the fabric of her soul. What could have driven her to part with something so deeply personal? Was it the weight of illness or something more shadowy lurking in the background? Let's dive into the heartbreaking yet inspiring tale of a woman who lived life on her own terms, right up to the end. She had always been drawn to spaces that told stories, turning forgotten buildings into vibrant reflections of her inner world. From a young age, influenced by a father who saw beauty in structures, she treated homes like canvases. One standout was an historic gem in the hills, a 1920s marvel with terrace gardens and geometric wonders that blended seamlessly with the landscape. She scooped it up when it was crumbling, pouring her energy into reviving its original glory while adding her own. Modern twist-think preserved copper accents mixed with open, light-filled rooms and eclectic antiques. It became more than a roof over her head. It was a creative sanctuary where ideas flowed freely. Years later, she flipped that property for a tidy sum, proving she wasn't just an artist on screen, but a shrewd mind in the market. Another favorite was a charming colonial-style retreat in a bustling neighborhood, where she transformed a bland entry into a book-lined nook under soaring ceilings. The living areas got a fresh breath with sleek fireplaces and wide windows that let sunlight dance through, connecting everything in a warm, inviting flow. She chose soft hues, wooden pieces with history, and touches that whispered of her life's adventures. This wasn't about luxury. It was about crafting a space that felt alive with memories and inspiration. Venturing further afield, she restored a rustic adobe in the desert Southwest, breathing new life into its earthy walls before selling it at a handsome profit. These ventures showed her as more than a star. She was a visionary who turned passion into prosperity. Her portfolio, built over nearly 8 decades, swelled to around $100 million, dotted across sunny states and beyond. But real estate was her heartbeat, each property a chapter in her extraordinary journey. As time wore on, whispers of her fading health began to surface, though she guarded it fiercely, sparing her loved ones the pain. In her later years, old battles with eating struggles had left her fragile, her once vibrant frame weakened by time. Simple joys like rearranging a room or tending to blooms became exhausting trials. Then came the skin troubles, repeated treatments that made even a ray of sun feel like an enemy. Fatigue set in, turning her beloved routines into burdens she could no longer shoulder. That's when the decision hit to sell the place she'd called her forever spot, a sprawling haven bought over a decade ago. She'd documented its transformation in a book, calling it a wellspring of creativity, where mornings started with coffee in golden light and days unfolded in quiet reflection. With 5 cozy bedrooms and ample baths, every inch bore her signature thoughtful layouts, personal artifacts, and that signature blend of elegance and whimsy. But her body betrayed her, making upkeep impossible. Staying meant watching it fade. And that was unthinkable for someone who'd always honored beauty in all things. She listed it just weeks before the end, a poignant farewell to a chapter closing too soon. The home brimming with echoes of laughter and late-night musings, would pass to new hands. But her essence lingered in every corner. Friends later shared how swiftly everything unraveled, her inner circle shielding her from prying eyes so she could depart in peace, surrounded by those who mattered most. If this story touches your heart, please share it. Dots in those quiet neighborhoods. She was a familiar sight, strolling with her faithful pup, waving hello with that infectious grin that lit up the block. Locals remembered her as equal parts witty and wise, chatting with her dog like an old confidant, embodying that rare mix of star power and everyday warmth. But those walks tapered off as her strength went. One crisp morning, health arrived at her ivy-draped doorstep, and the world learned she'd gone at 79. Her final chapter, unwritten for the public. Beyond bricks and mortar. Her treasures included a lineup of classic rides, a sleek 60s convertible, and a rugged 70s wagon that mirrored her eclectic taste, valued in the hundreds of thousands but priceless in sentiment. Smart investments in markets and earnings from her creative works rounded out her fortune. Yet, she always insisted wealth was secondary. It fueled her freedoms, letting her chase what sparked joy. "I chase what lights me up," she'd say, a mantra that defined her. With her gone, eyes turned to what came next for that vast legacy. Unwed, but fiercely maternal. She raised 2 sons she welcomed into her world later in life, one now in his late 20s, married and grounded. The other, younger, preferring the shadows. They were her anchors, reshaping her in ways nothing else could, filling her with a protective love that ran deep. Though details stayed private, it's likely she set up safeguards to pass it all on smoothly, dodging the pitfalls that snag so many fortunes. A smart move for someone who'd navigated fame's twists. But amid the sorrow, darker threads emerge. Tongues wagged about why she'd really sold that cherished nest. Some pointed fingers at her book, suggesting they'd nudged her toward the decision as her clarity dimmed under illness's shadow. Was it a bid for control over her empire? The idea hung like a cloud, fueling online chatter and speculative pieces that painted family ties in suspicious hues. Had her vulnerability opened doors to undue sway? Or was it all just baseless noise? Those who knew her best painted a different picture. A woman of sharp intellect and unyielding will, impossible to steer off course. Even in her waning days, her smile held steady, though her gaze sometimes wandered to unspoken horizons. The buzz grew, forums alive with theories of long-brewing plans and hidden motives. Yet, defenders rose, reminding all of her strength of force who'd charted her path without apology. No matter the whispers, her essence shone through, a beacon of originality, weaving independence with heartfelt bonds. She embraced differences, lived raw and real, pouring love into every pursuit. In quiet reflection, she'd muse on freedom's value, rejecting chains of expectation. Her exit was graceful, veiled in privacy, a fitting close for one who'd danced to her own rhythm. Tributes flooded in from those she'd touched. Co-stars from family comedies hailed her as the spark that made scenes sing, while longtime collaborators mourned the void in their iconic groups. An old flame, shocked by the suddenness, recalled how she'd pushed him toward defining roles. Their connection, a blend of passion and partnership that time couldn't erode. Another, a creative kindred spirit, valued her opinions above all critics, underscoring her quiet influence. Friends from bookish gatherings and on-set adventures shared heartache, cherishing how she elevated ordinary moments. A younger admirer, mentored in her early days, credited her with instilling bravery against doubts. Even those who'd shared screens briefly felt her impact a one-of-a-kind soul whose authenticity inspired. She faced aging head-on, declaring life didn't dim with years, only ending when breath did. Born in the mid-40s under California's sun, her spark for performance ignited young, craving the stage's thrill. Broadway called in the 60s with bold shows and nominations that launched her. The big screen breakthrough came in a mob epic portraying a resilient partner that etched her in history. Then, a quirky romance earned her top honors. Her offbeat charm winning hearts worldwide. The decades unfolded with bold choices, intense dramas earning nods, light-hearted hits showcasing her wit. She directed tales of kinship, explored photography's lens, and championed old buildings' preservation. Hats became her armor and flair, shielding sensitive skin while flaunting style that defied norms. Music, art, all wove into her tapestry. A life rich beyond measure. Romances with fellow luminaries added layers, intense collaborations, turning personal, marked by depth and drama. One partnership endured through films and fallout, loyalty unwavering amid storms. Another brought mystery and allure during a revolutionary shoot, ending amicably but memorably. A third, sparked on a legendary set, ebbed and flowed like a saga, full of fascination without formal ties. She cherished these without regrets, prizing freedom over convention. Motherhood arrived later, a profound shift that crowned her joys. Her kids became her world, a source of quiet pride and endless devotion. In letting go of her final abode, she showed wisdom in release, ensuring her empire's smooth handoff. Her story endures as a testament to living boldly, loving fully. If her journey moves you, hit like, subscribe, and share to keep celebrating lives like hers. Rest easy, knowing her light still guides.